Hey everyone, I'm going to talk all about my journey with sensorimotor recovery, all the mistakes I made, what I had to do to get myself better, and basically everything leading up to that point in my life. And, basically how much stress I had, how many irrational beliefs I was holding at the time, and why it was kind of this perfect storm until sensorimotor became a latching thing. Well, before that, I had really bad fear of tinnitus for 3 months, and I didn't associate that with sensorimotor OCD, but the reality was that was the beginning of my OCD journey. So if you want to learn more about this, please email us at info@ocdrecovery.com. We do a lot of coaching on sensorimotor. That's for breathing, blinking, swallowing, heartbeat, OCD, and anything more sensation-based stuff. And comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video. Let me know if sensorimotor is something that you're dealing with now, maybe something you're further along in the recovery journey, and you could add your insights down below, and that's always great for people to hear. So basically my entire life, I've always been running from or running towards some sort of sensation. So all the ones I was running from, I heavily deemed inappropriate or horrible, or I didn't want to deal with them anymore, and I would run from them in every way I could, all the way from clothing to temperature to the humidity in Florida, not going to the beach because I didn't like feeling humid and didn't like feeling sticky. And there was a bunch of other little things like that. I joke about this a lot, but it really was kind of sad. I didn't wear underwear for 10 years because I was so deathly afraid of the way underwear felt. I had no idea that that was OCD related. I also put cocoa butter on like the lotion 20, 30, sometimes 30, 40 times a day because I was chasing a sensation of this relief that I thought it would give me. And I liked the way that it almost was a calming effect. Even Erica, before my OCD became chronic, it's something that Erica noticed, but we never kind of put it together until afterwards when I, really was kind of mental hospital status, really no hope to go on, no will to go on any further. Bodybuilding and lifting weights was another compulsive way I chased a sensation. So these are all the different ways that basically, if I didn't feel a certain way, I would do anything to bring myself to this ideological idea of how I needed my life to feel at all times. So before I became latched with sensorimotor OCD, I'll just go with the tinnitus because that was the first thing I really struggled with. I had lost my father to stage 4 pancreatic cancer. I had lost my aunt, so my mom lost her husband and her only sister in a 3-month period, and then we lost our childhood dog. I was still in grad school, and between schoolwork and everything, we're looking at about 80 hours a week between everything. Again, very, very busy at that time. Not really good lifestyle factors, playing video games, sleeping like 3-4 hours a day. I can't tell you, there was like a year period where Erica would go to sleep and I would start playing video games at 9:30 at night. And then I don't think I'd stop playing sometimes until about 2, and I had to wake up at 5. Sometimes I would stop playing at 2 and I had to wake up at 3:50. I really have no idea how I went on that long like that. So, and operated completely, passed all my grad school, took a plethora of different tests on advanced imaging and neurophysiology and neuroanatomy and pathology and all the other stuff you have to jump hoops through when you're going through chiropractor school. So a lot of stuff like that. So it was a really tough time in my life because the anxiety was really just building. I also had a vitamin deficiency, a biotin, which is B7. That's a water-soluble vitamin, which means you need them. And I was deficient in that because I was drinking raw eggs every single day. And when you drink raw eggs at the amount I was, a carton of egg whites every single day for about 5 years, biotin doesn't become bioavailable. So it mimics epilepsy and seizures. At first, I was having such bad deja vu that I couldn't remember my name anymore. And I had it one time in the bookstore right after my dad got diagnosed with cancer, and I didn't know what type of cancer he had, and I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my name. The teachers were very worried over that. Of course, they're like, these are weird episodes of deja vu. He's blanking out. He more than likely has a brain tumor. Now, that didn't send me into a health OCD spike or fear of death, but I got all the imaging done, EEG, functional MRIs, and nothing. They didn't find anything. And then they found out I was vitamin deficient, which was really actually quite rare because there's only a couple ways you could become biotin deficient. And that was one of the ways. You drank raw eggs for years and years. When we put those two together, my nutrition teachers were like, this is nuts. I've never thought I'd ever meet someone with that. So it kind of was the perfect storm. So what happened was, I remember it perfectly, middle of June 2019. So I had gone to the pool that day, and I had woken up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. And I went to take a pee, and my ears were ringing pretty loud. And I've been to music festivals my whole life. I think by that time, 19, I've been to 23-day music festivals, lots of shows. I had big subwoofers in my car, so tinnitus was almost like an inevitable for me, just because of how much I subjected my ears to ear damage. And I still have tinnitus today, but I don't really hear it because the fear cycle isn't really that high at all. Well, there's no fear cycle. I hear it at night if I'm reading sometimes or any other places like that. But I'm not scared of it coming back, and I'm not really scared of it getting louder. I mean, that would be annoying, but I'm not scared of it like I was. So I woke up to go to the bathroom. The ring was there, was a little concerned, went back to sleep, woke up an hour later, and it was louder than ever. Instant panic attack. Like immediate. A total immediate panic attack. My wife and I slept in separate, we were fiancé at the time. We slept in separate rooms because, no, that's not true. We had just got married. We just got married in February of that year. So I ran into her room. We slept in separate rooms because of my video game problems and all that. That was brewing then. And she'd go to bed way before me. And she had only moved in about a year before that. And I went into the room and I'm like, hey, look, this is what's going on. I'm freaking out. I really have no idea what to do. Can you please help me? And for the next 3 months, I went to numerous audiologists. I went to the hospital twice to have them do full ear examinations. The complete compulsive nature of it. I stopped using my headphones only to 50%. I would yell at Erica if she used a fork and a knife on a metal plate, that sound. Again, no music, windows up all the time, was constantly panicking, putting dishes away. And then I found a book talking about why the fear around tinnitus is the main problem. And I thought that was an incredible ideology for me because I was thinking, oh my gosh, I've been spending all this time running from the sound of my tinnitus. So it made a lot of sense. So what do you know? OCD, classic. As soon as I started recovering from tinnitus, and this was about 3.5 months afterwards, September, so about June, July, August, September, about 3 months. It was right before Mr. Olympia of 2019 because I remember I was compulsively spitting into a cup during the entire 2019 Mr. Olympia, which was ridiculous. So I was driving in Ponce Inlet, which is outside Daytona, where I went to school, and I just had a thought, and I thought, what are some things that people habituate to? What are some things that people don't notice? And I went foot on the gas pedal, hand on the steering wheel, and then I thought blinking, and it was literally like this. Boom, 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 boom. Total meltdown. So Erica knew something was wrong because I think I was, and she's like, what the hell's going on with you? So we get back to the apartment complex and I go sprawl out literally in the ground. And I said, I can't stop thinking about my blinking. I can't stop thinking about my blinking. I don't know what's going on. Of course, she's like, hey, everything's going to be okay. What are you even talking about? We obviously took some psychology classes in school, but they were geared towards pain-related stuff, teaching people how to disassociate with pain from a cognitive behavioral standpoint. So I got a decent amount of that in school, and I had read a couple other books on psychology and pain at that time. So the reason why I don't think I Googled a whole lot is because I had a background on some of this stuff, so I understood. I was like, okay, this makes sense. And then once I went on Google and I wrote, can't stop thinking about my blinking, Sensorimotor OCD came up. And there wasn't a piece of me, for whatever reason, that was like, probably not. I said, this makes a lot of sense because of all the behaviors I had, all the compulsive behaviors of hiding, all the lotion behaviors, all the addictive behaviors I had. It just made absolute perfect sense. Most people are not like that. A lot of people doubt they have OCD, which is totally fine. They have to come to that conclusion themselves. So that was basically what happened. And then I spent the next 2 years doing everything I could to run from my sensations. Now I had blinking, swallowing and salivating, a little bit of breathing, probably just because I was so used to being an athlete my whole life and lifting weights and then climbing all these mountains to where I was not even afraid of being hyper aware or that manual breathing sensation that many breathing people have, but that doesn't matter. The biggest thing is the belief around the sensation, which we're about to cover all of that. So I went to the mental hospital in 2019. I didn't feel like I had any hope. I was misdiagnosed with bipolar, not anyone's fault. Very hard to understand OCD when you don't have it. I was very myself, right? I was my hyper self, really, on edge. And they said, hey, look, you have bipolar, you're manic. I said, no, look, this is what's going on. I can't stop thinking about my saliva and my swallowing. I'm pretty sure I have OCD. And they're like, no, that's not really like a thing. I remember him saying something on the lines of that, which I knew he was wrong, just because it was very clear as day to me what was actually happening. And there was a piece of me that had to work towards maybe this isn't OCD like a lot of people do, but that wasn't a problem for me. The problem was me trying to run from my sensations, like it is with all sensory motor. So then when I found Rob, I always joke about this, Rob's first call, he said to me, Nick, what if I told you it would take you 3 years to get better? And I said, I'll kill myself. I'll end my life. And that is hard to even imagine that was where I was in that time period, which was about early 2020, so almost 3 years ago next month. And he said to me, that's the problem. It's that 0 to 100, automatic response. You want the relief from it right now. And I thought that was a profound thing that I realized later on once I realized just how compulsive I was. Now let's jump into what I did wrong, because I think that was a really good background, a long background. That by this time I had left the mental hospital. I was there for 4 days with a mixed diagnosis. I was gaining weight like crazy because I stopped moving. I would just go to class and I would be completely spaced because it was just 24/7, saliva swallowing, just like basically when some of my friends who I'm close with ask me, what did it feel like? I've always used this. I say, take 2 Capri Suns, put the pouches in, place them underneath your tongues, and then press. That almost like a waterfall sensation. The breathing one feels like you can't, it's always like a, and then you're afraid that you look like you're panicking, so you're worried about if other people notice you, and then saliva swallowing and blinking. You're like, are other people noticing I'm swallowing weird? And then you start noticing other people's blinking. This is something I've talked with a few people, so it can manifest in many different ways. So the mistakes I made was, I just graduated school, so if I wasn't going to work, I was going in late and leaving early and doing all sorts of compulsions at work to avoid myself. By the way, in November of 2020, which I was about 6 months into my journey at this point, taking it pretty seriously, because I put video games away May 1st, 2020, and that's when so when I met Rob to May 1st, 5 months, I was not listening to anything he said. I was still compulsing really bad with my video games, smoking a lot of jewel packs, all my avoidance behaviors were off the roof, and I had no anxiety at that time, because the big mistake that people make with OCD is they think anxiety is a determining factor of either OCD or not having OCD. Well, I have no OCD, so that doesn't matter. That doesn't mean anything. You could have anxiety or not have anxiety present at any time. So I had 2 kidney stone surgeries, and then I had COVID really bad, where I was on oxygen for 3 days, all within like a 2-month period, when I was only about 6 or 7 months into my journey. So that flew everything up completely for the max. If you want to go back, if you go to our playlist and go to acceptance, I'm sure it's in there, and go back all the way to January 2021, so 2 years ago next month, I made a couple videos right when I got released from the hospital with the oxygen and everything like that. So I went through a lot in that period. The kidney stone surgeries were really bad. They prescribed me. I remember I told the doctor, I said, please don't prescribe me Oxycontin. I have a very addictive personality. I don't want them. And I just, I was like, look, I'm just going to abuse them, and I'll probably end up using them inappropriately. So please. And my wife was like, he's not joking. Please don't. So he was cool. So he gave me, just Tylenol, which wasn't going to do anything. And some, I forgot the name of the medication, but it wasn't an Oxycontin. But he said to me, you have a stent up there, and it's going to be really painful until your next surgery. And I just didn't even care at that point, because I was so checked out from all the emotional suffering from my OCD. So those were all my work compulsions, the smoking compulsions. I didn't cook any of my own food. I stopped going to the gym for about 2 months. I'm only 5'7". I weigh about 180 now. I got up to 225. So I had gained a lot of weight. I was really overweight. And my body dysmorphia at that time took a huge backseat, because I wasn't even concerned about what I looked like. Once I recovered from sensorimotor OCD, my body dysmorphia really flared up, and I had to work on that as well. And I'll cover that in another video. So the morphing of the themes is huge. Now, how do you actually recover from sensorimotor OCD? I just really wanted to give you a background of all the things I went through, so maybe you might be able to relate and make a little bit more sense for you. In the Ellis Principles, on the first book on the reading list that can be found at OCDrecovery.com, which is How to Stubbornly Refuse to Make Yourself Miserable About Anything, Yes, Anything. Ellis noticed that the problems in our life, anxiety, shame, guilt, chronic shame and guilt, chronic depression, and a lot of these other unwanted, unhelpful, problematic emotions weren't just caused by activating events in our life. So most people work off A equals C. Activating event equals C. Having OCD is why I'm depressed. Very easily to understand. OCD can be very, very, very difficult when you're in the middle of a cycle. I was just away, I would say. I just wasn't here for years. I was in another realm, it felt like. 24/7 anxiety, 24/7 hyper-awareness, 24/7 depersonalization, derealization, 24/7 anger. I was angry at myself, angry at the world, angry at my wife. I mean, everyone. Angry at the people online who didn't understand OCD. It was a bad place for me. I was very much contemplating not being here anymore. I want you to know you're not alone if you have that. If you have those thoughts, and there's no need to do that. There's so much hope. We can help you. You can watch our videos, come to the webinars. We offer a lot of hope. We spend a lot of our time trying to help people with OCD. So the activating event is sensorimotor. Okay, so again, plug and chug any of your emotions. I have people every day ask me these questions. I've worked with dozens and dozens and dozens of sensorimotor people just this year alone, all who come in and say, have you heard of this? Have you heard of that? Oh, I'm hyper aware of my hair. I'm hyper aware of the bridge of my nose. And everyone thinks they're different. You're not different. All you have is a person currently who's scared of a sensation lasting forever. So A, the activating event, sensorimotor, plus B, the belief system. Now, what are the belief systems when it comes to sensorimotor OCD? Because there's a good amount of them. Those belief systems are, most importantly, fear of fear and conditional life acceptance. When you read the first book, he'll break down these terms more. Definitely don't just use this video, read that book, do an adjunct, and watch my other videos too. So conditional life acceptance looks like this. Life must be easy, things must go my way. If they don't go my way and life isn't easy, my life is 100% terrible and awful. So you have to break that down through rational thinking by asking yourself disputing questions, which you can learn on a sheet that we have on our website as well at OCDrecovery.com again. So the beliefs are, if I notice this for the rest of my life is ruined. Second, if I'm not present and miss out on many things in my life because I'm constantly hyper aware, my life is ruined. Third, if people notice that I'm swallowing, blinking, or acting odd, I can't take that type of rejection and embarrassment. But primarily, it's the first one and the second one, the fear of being stuck forever and the fear of not being present. Now, with some of them, there is a fourth one that relates to a health OCD, breathing. What if I pass out, hit my head, have an aneurysm, and die? So usually the breathing, sensorimotor specific, that type of fear can have some health OCD mixed in with it, and also pain as well. Oh my gosh, this pain is so real. It's a headache. It's not a breathing or swallowing. That means it must be real. I have something else. Oh my gosh, this is the worst thing ever. When there's a pain involved, it's very easy for the person to think that they don't have OCD because the pain feels as real as it can get. Now, the activating event plus all those belief systems equals C. And C is the emotional consequence. And that emotional consequence is this: behaviors and unhealthy emotions. So the behaviors are the compulsions that you're doing. Those are your avoidance, self-reassurance behaviors, actively looking for reassurance through other people. And then you have your emotions, which is hyper-awareness, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depersonalization and derealization, I see. So before I go any further, I want to talk about the largest compulsion that sensorimotor people engage in. And the largest compulsion that sensorimotor people engage in is self-reassurance. Now, what is self-reassurance when it comes to sensorimotor OCD? That's people walking around and saying this to themselves all day long. Hey, this so and so forth notices they're breathing. It's okay to notice they're breathing. And that's okay because it's a normal behavior. But the thing is, it's actually self-reassurance, and that's not going to give you to where you want to go because you, not anyone else, are scared of your sensations. So the only way that I see feasible to recover from OCD is leaning into the acceptance of your worst case scenario. So once you have your A and your B and your C and your compulsions and your avoidance behaviors, and yes, it will take some time. There's no timelines, there's no deadlines. But once you realize what that worst case scenario is, and that worst case scenario is the same every single time, noticing this forever is horrible. You have to lean into that and start to learn. It's a keyword, learn how to accept that even if you were hyper aware forever, it wouldn't be horrible. It would be very unfortunate, but you could still do many, many things. I started a business. I worked on my relationship. I've gotten much better at hiking. I've hiked this summer alone. I did 7 14ers, 9 attempts, but I didn't summit 2 of them. I got back into exercising again. I did all these other things that I didn't think I would ever do again because I never thought I would be able to get back to a place to where I felt like I was functioning in society again. So that was so important for me to get out there. So just remember that behaviors instill beliefs, and all those avoidance behaviors that you're doing, even in theory, if you understand that you could notice you're breathing forever, you're not going to actually be able to accept that because the behaviors are instilling the belief system more and more. They yin yang off one another. And the final thing I want to cover is, are exposures necessary for sensorimotor OCD? Now, if someone comes in and they are deathly afraid of a sensation, deathly afraid, brand new, they have no idea what's going on, I will have them, or recommend to them, do a little bit of meditation to their breathing for a few weeks to kind of become acclimated with the, because some people are so petrified, they spend, like I was, 24 hours a day running from their sensation if they're not sleeping. But exposures are very limited when it comes to sensorimotor OCD. It's one of the main reasons why sensorimotor OCD people don't feel like they make any progress. It's because they believe in their mind that they need an exposure to target it. But the sensation is the exposure. You're going to breathe forever. You're going to salivate forever. You're going to swallow food and water and saliva forever. Your heart's going to beat forever. Your bridge of your nose is not moving. It's going to stay there forever. You're going to have all these other bodily sensations remain there for the remainder of your life. So if they're going to be there forever, why would you need to expose yourself to them outside the very beginning if you're highly scared? It all comes down to acceptance of your worst case scenario. Guys, thank you. And ladies, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed this. I have completely recovered from sensorimotor OCD. I have no fear cycle left. I was really cocky in the beginning, and I've humbled that down a lot because I used to say, I don't care at all. I'm blah, 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 blah. But that really wasn't true. I did care if it came back. Now I'm much more comfortable with that worst case scenario, more than I was even a year ago, where I was in a really good spot a year ago, and realizing that, look, everything that we think in life matters a lot more because of the beliefs we hold on that and the behaviors that intertwine in that. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully hear from you soon. Info at OCDrecovery.com. You can get all of our webinar list. And remember, write in the comments anything you want. Have a good one, everyone.